I'm after the new 70-300 by Fuji. You may or may not know that Fuji have now brought out a 70-300. But Fuji have just brought out a 70-300. So that's equivalent to like 105 to 450. I'm after Fuji's 70-300.
Good morning. Yes, I'm out here with my Fuji XT3. And you may recognise this. It's the Fujinon 70-300 lens. And I still think after two and a half years, it's a fantastic lens, it really is. I'm maybe overstating the point, but it's been the best zoom lens I've ever owned since the late 1960s, I guess. Now, funny enough, I don't think I've ever pixel peaked this lens, and I'm not going to now. I know it's sharp. Most people know it's sharp who own the lens, and it's one of Fuji's most affordable, best zoom lenses. Here's the technical specs on this lens coming up now. The lens is relatively compact and lightweight for a zoom of this focal length. Image stabilization is great, which, like the 1680, is permanently on unless mounted on a tripod or firm base. It has, as we'll see later, good macro capabilities too. I don't think it needs the anti-lens creep block though, as mine's not crept yet. If there's one thing I use this camera more than taking still pictures, it's shooting movie. And this is what I love about this lens too. It enables me to get in a lot closer, particularly when you're filming, because it crops into the sensor a bit more, so it adds about another 10-15% longer zoom to it. And what I'm thinking about that actually, I probably did mention before in a video that I was going to get Fuji's 1.4 teleconverter. Well, not buy it. It's about 350 quid, I think, something like that. And how often would I use it? I don't know. But you can rent it. I'll rent it for a week for around 30-35 quid. Most places seem to be doing it for, so that sounds fine. So I'll give it a whiz and I'll do a video with that on. And that'll extend this from its, well, from 300 to 450 mil. But it's more like 600 in full frame terms, because this lens is a 105 to 455 zoom, which is pretty powerful. And to have this in your backpack, just a compact lens like this, take the lens hood off, it's even more compact. Yeah, so yes, I do love it. And I tell you what, it's permanently bolted to the XT3. When I normally go out, I'll take another XT3 and that will have the 1680 on. So I'm covered from wide angle to a long telephoto, which is brilliant for most subjects. Yeah, I do find myself shooting mostly wildlife these days. Of course I do landscapes and virtually any other subject under the sun, but principally wildlife when I'm out and about. But the one niggle I have with this lens when filming is the jerkiness. When you're panning with this lens, you will find a noticeable jerkiness when you view the footage. But that's easily solved if you have Final Cut Pro or maybe Adobe Premiere, and you can smooth that out with image stabilization, which is built into the program. So, and that smooths it out beautifully. But if you do pan very slowly, then it doesn't really jitter anywhere near as much. It's just if you do a, yeah, so don't do a. Anyway, apart from that, I love this lens, and as I say, it's permanently bolted on. Okay, this shot is at the long end, the 300mm end of the lens, and these coups are, yeah, quite a way away. So one of the many things I love about this lens, apart from its compactness, its weight, its size and so on, is the image stabilization, 5.5 stops. And although the body doesn't have IBIS, which is inbuilt image stabilization, the lens certainly does. And with that, when you're hand holding at 300mm, because virtually all my photography and filming with this is done handheld, I rarely use a tripod. That might not sound very professional, but for filming it gives me much more flexibility. Without stabilization, and I'll show a shot now without the image stabilization on. Anyway, yes, with that, image stabilization is fantastic. But as I said earlier, that's what partly causes the jerkiness when you're actually padding across. So you get this sort of effect, as you'll see. Not stabilized, stabilized. By the way, there's a dual motive of coming out this morning. Not only am I talking about the camera and the lens, particularly the 70-300 lens, it's not the only subject. The other subject is it's a good test out for my Rode ME radio mic system, and recently acquired, and I'm very, very pleased with it, and gives me the best audio yet. It's a good test this morning because it's pretty windy. Well, when I get it in Final Cut Pro, I'll just see how much the wind may well have been cut down, because there's a wind muff not only on the mic here, which I'm talking on the transmitter, but on the receiver as well, on the GoPro. Yeah, so we'll see. Let's show some pictures, shall we? Some video and some stills. GoPro, start recording. Right, it's very, very windy now actually, but anyway, I can do voice commands at a distance, which is really useful with a radio mic. So let's zoom in. Now, really, when you zoom in with a lens like this, done slowly, it will hold focus. Now, the lens, or rather the camera, is set to continuous autofocus. Okay. And you can see now the effectiveness. I'm nearly in at 300mm. Yeah, I moved it a bit too quickly, but there we go. And so you can do the voice commands. GoPro, stop recording. The 70-300 is not designed for zoom in whilst filming. A parfocal lens is needed, which holds focus on your subject as you zoom in and out. Because I'm leaning backwards, I'm wobbling. Still, image stabilization should take care of that. It's a great lens, it's a great versatile telephoto zoom, period. Of course, the other benefit with shooting stills with the built-in image stabilization in this lens is the fact that you can handhold at very slow shutter speeds. Now I've tried at the 300mm end, I've tried shooting around about half a second, not recommended. Quarter of a second, you have to hold it really steady, but you can get reasonably sharp pictures. But I wouldn't go much below, say, 1/8, 15th of a second really, if I really had to. Just whiz up the ISO. Now, talking about ISO, and this is as much about the camera, much more about the camera than the lens, I'm finding myself now, particularly when filming, I'm shooting in auto ISO. And that's because if I'm tracking a creature that's going from a lighter to a darker shaded area, it'll maintain fairly smooth, accurate exposure without myself finding that the subject's now run into an area where it's so bright it's just blown out. So that does work very well actually, and I'm using it more and more now, which I'd never use auto this, auto that much in the past. I've always been a manual man, you know. And yeah, but you know, you got to use the technology, you know, when it's built in, use it. So there we have it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, folks, and if you don't own this lens, then save up and get it. If you're after a long telephoto lens that's compact, razor sharp. Yeah, what can you say? Fantastic lens, yep. Highly recommended. Rush out and buy one. You won't be disappointed if you're a Fuji camera owner and you like to shoot with long zoom lenses that are affordable as well. So, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, bash the bell. I'll see you next time. Cheers.